Welcome to the Sons and Daughters podcast. I am Arden Bevere, and today I'm excited to share with you guys the first episode of a two-part series we did with my parents and my brother Austin about singleness, dating, engagement, and marriage. See, both Austin and I were recently married, and we just wanted to share a little bit of our experiences as well as some godly wisdom from our parents on dating in the modern world. So here's the first part of our discussion.
So today we have actually a really fun episode. We are going to talk on all things singleness, dating, and engagement. Not just you and me, because it's like so far we don't even remember it, but we're going to do it with Austin, our second-born, and Arden, our fourth-born. And we've had some people ask us to talk about these things.
And Lisa, what's unique about these two sons?
I feel like you're asking me a question.
They both got married last fall.
That is true.
In 2018.
Yes.
Austin in September and Arden in November.
Yep. So if you're listening to this in the real time of February, it hasn't even been a year. So we're going to tackle these topics because we had so many people say it's just not talked about in the church. They talk a lot about marriage, but not singleness, not dating, not engagement. I know that I told my boys not to date because girls would take all their money, and that if they didn't date, then I would buy them a car, which I feel like was a lie. But
anyway, where's the car?
Yeah, exactly. But we had a listener write in and say, can you guys talk about the subject specifically of sex before marriage when it comes to dating and engagement? And two of our top episodes ever in conversations from last season were related to sexuality and relationships. And so we're getting brave here that we know this is something we got to talk about. And here's the fascinating demographic. Millennials are the largest living generation. So how they choose to conduct themselves when it comes to dating,
that's powerful,
marriage, is going to impact generations of the church, family, and culture at large.
And there's some other really interesting statistics, Lisa. The median age for somebody getting married, right? Mm-hmm. For a woman, it's 27. For a guy, it's 29. Now, in 1960, it was totally different. It was 20 for a woman and 23 for a man.
But see, Austin proves this is correct.
Yeah,
how old were you when you got married, Austin?
I was 29, and I'm still 29.
29.
Right. This is all very recent for me.
That's why we picked you two guys, because dating's very fresh in your memory, as well as you're just starting your marriage.
Arden's a 1960 stat.
I mean, I did say I was born in the wrong generation. 1960s.
Hey, Arden, I got married at 23.
Yeah.
Have you guys talked about in here what Arden professed he was going to do every year, pretty much?
He said he's going to get married before you.
Yes,
but he didn't.
Threats.
I will say that I did get engaged before him.
Yeah.
4 days.
Okay.
4 days.
Let's set the record straight real quick on this. I told Arden what day I was getting engaged on, and a few days later, I got a text from him saying, "Hey, is it cool if I propose right before you?" So
what are you supposed to say to that?
I don't even think it was just on my radar too, and I was like, you know what? I could pull this out before.
Wow.
Austin's doing it. I'm going to do this.
I'm going to do it. I got to beat him in something.
But honestly, I don't care because I really love Arden, and I'm glad we got to share our moments together.
And you did get married first.
They were separate.
Just
and
a
I did
couple
get
days
married.
apart.
Yeah, you still won.
Yeah, that was
engaged.
That
it was never engaged. It was married before you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Still won, I guess.
Here's the wild thing. Jess was 20 when you got married, or 19? Which one?
She's 20.
She was 20.
Yeah,
so
20.
she's got the 60 statistics. Arden's got the 60. You hit the
I'm a millennial.
You're hit the millennial.
Finest.
And I was 60.
Hashtag
anyway, let's move along here. So young couples are opting to live together and put off marriage for later, if at all.
Yeah.
About a quarter of the unmarried young adults, ages 25 through 34, are living with a partner. Now, this is amazing, according to Pew Research analysis. And
wait. So if that's Pew Research, it's probably Christians are polling.
Yeah.
Pew as in church pew, not as in stinky.
Yeah, so Pew, not as in stinky as Lisa says, Research Center says 25% of millennials are likely to never be married.
Wow.
The eHarmony report on relationships found out that American couples aged 25 to 34 knew each other for an average of 6.5 years before marrying, compared with an average of 5 years for all other age groups.
Okay, now we have to pause here.
Yes.
how long did you know Christian before you got married?
You haven't even known her a year yet.
Oh no, we've known each other our entire lives. That's the amazing thing.
Wow. So
When was your first date? It was about 10 months ago.
Our first date was in March, and we are in February now. So
Okay, but March 31st
March
doesn't really
31st.
count.
Which still was in March. Okay.
All right.
And Austin, how long did you date? And
you know what? I think I did better with
I feel
this.
like you did. Yeah. I feel like you
I
win
knew
this.
Jess 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago.
Yeah, that's
but
true.
I only spent about a week's worth of time with her before 2017. So basically, we dated for a year,
About a year. Yeah.
and then we were married. So
Okay.
engagement, dating, all of it was done in a year.
so let's
And then
go on
you
with
and
some
I.
of these.
No, wait. No, you and I.
Yeah.
You would have
Way
married
back
me.
when.
I would have
2
married you
months
two
into
weeks
it.
after I met you.
See?
Is what?
Yeah.
Now a lot of you don't know this, but I had the privilege of leading Lisa to the Lord on our very first
Missionary
date.
dating.
It was a great date.
Or
But
you did
anyway,
the same thing
Sorry, I
with
just hit
Christian,
that
right?
mic.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
Don't tell her I
newly
said
saved.
yeah, I really couldn't argue with you guys because of how fast I moved. But anyway, Helen Fisher, everybody's thinking, why are we listening to these guys? Helen Fisher, an anthropologist who studies romance and a consultant to the dating site Match.com, has come up with the phrase fast sex, slow love to describe the
It's a hard word.
all right.
Juxtaposition
Juxtaposition
of millennials.
of millennials, casual sex liaisons, and long simmering committed relationships. You should be doing this one.
I
Good-
was
good choice
going
of
to
words.
take it. I was
Take
gonna-
it,
that
babe.
means.
I was
Take
going to
it.
take that
Can
one. I
someone
was
break
like,
down what that means? Because that
Okay.
is
Yeah,
kind of a
that's-
weird
yeah,
way to phrase that.
fast sex means they're okay with casual sex and they're slow to love. So they're quick to have sex
Right.
and slow to have
Feelings.
deep, meaningful, loving relationships, which is a little scary, which is long simmering, which is what we have because we've been married for how long? Because I said it wrong a couple times.
37 years this year.
37 years this year, long simmering committed relationships. So, yeah, that's terrifying. It also says that 61% of self-identified Christians, so again, we're talking to Christians now, Christian singles who answered a recent Christian Mingle survey, I always think of Christian Tingle, said they are willing to have casual sex without being in love. Wow. Wait,
61%.
Wait, that's more than half.
Of self-identified Christians. You
61%.
really just said that.
2/3.
Yes.
While only 11% said they are waiting to have sex until they are married.
Wow.
Okay, that's terrifying.
All right. So a 2011 Relevant magazine polled,
It's the last poll for a while.
okay, that revealed that 80% of young unmarried Christians have had sex. 80%. And 2/3 have been sexually active in the last year.
Okay, so
So we have a nightmare going on
yeah,
right
we
now.
do. So I feel like, I mean, I wanted to say this because I feel like there's a lot of young girls out there that I've heard write me and say, why am I waiting? Because there's no one waiting for me. And all of my friends who are having sex and they're dating and nobody's dating me because I'm not having sex. I hope this isn't embarrassing. And of course, it's no longer true, but both Arden and Austin were virgins when they got married. And Austin was 29 and Arden was 24. And that's unusual in this day and time. But I want to say to anybody that's out there that if you're a young man and you're being made fun of because you have a high standard, or if you're a young woman, I want you to know you aren't alone. There are people that are not part of these stats. And sometimes when you read these kind of stats, it's overwhelming. But we can be those people that turn the tide on this.
You know, I'm a bit shocked looking at this. I'm just wondering how many people are reading their Bibles. I mean, in Hebrews chapter 13, it says, you know, the marriage bed is undefiled, but adulterers and people who have sex before
It says
marriage.
adulterers and fornicators. Yeah.
It says adulterers and people who have sex before marriage, God will judge. Now, I don't mean to say that to be harsh, crude, and tell you that I don't care about you. I just don't want to see you come under judgment. You know,
Well, I had a promiscuous past, and that caused some growth challenges early on in our marriage. But you know, I want to ask Austin some questions. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Austin.
That's totally fine.
How did you view, I mean, and I know I got to see some of this, but how did you view your season of singleness? Because I actually know you would have loved to have been married way earlier throughout your 20s. And what actually did you learn in that season about waiting well?
Well, I'll just be honest. Like, it was a really rough season. I think when you're single for like until you're 29, especially when you want to get married, you feel like your life is stalled a bit. You feel like there's a part of it that just hasn't, the puzzle piece just quite doesn't quite come into place. And so that was extremely frustrating, I would say, for me. And so I would say the number one piece of advice that I got was, don't rush, don't worry, like enjoy this time being single, like really focus on building yourself as a person. That way, when you do get married, you're ready to enter into that relationship. But like, still, it's not easy to hear, especially when you're getting up in your late 20s and you really do want to get married. You're like, is there something wrong with me? And those
Right.
questions do go through your mind. So I would say if you're in that area, the high 20s or early 30s, and you're still, looking for the right person, I want to say I feel for you, and it's not easy, but I would say use this time to really develop you, to build you, because we're reading these statistics, and like obviously there is a need for love and a need to know that people are valued and they're not receiving that. And so if you can go into that relationship feeling full and feeling loved and like really work on your own stuff before.
I was to say, you're not the same person at 29 that you were at 24.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like you probably thought you were ready, but do you think you're more ready now?
I definitely think I'm more ready. And I'll be honest, though, there are things that I could have worked through even more fully in my singleness that I didn't work through.
Could you give an example of one of those?
It's almost like when you get in a marriage, you get put in a furnace. And so, that's kind of...
Did you guys hear that? People that are single,
okay,
you're not in the furnace.
I will say this. This is the number one thing. And I even experienced this in dating, which I'd love to go into more specifics later. But like, there is that thought of, when I get married, it's going to kind of fulfill another part of me, or, the thing I'm missing is going to be there. And marriage does add things to you, but I realized that there were things that I wanted from Jess very early on that she just wasn't going to be able to give me. There was love that I felt like I needed. Just there's things that we as humans are designed for that is not meant to be fulfilled by another person. And so I had to get real with myself and say, you know what? Jess is an amazing woman, but I need to look to God for a lot of that love and validation that I thought marriage, whether consciously or unconsciously, would bring into my life.
And, we told Austin this, but it's one thing to hear it from your parents, and then another thing when you experience it. But
it's so good to listen. Like, it's so good to listen, but it's hard to listen at the same time. So I do feel, but I'm
Especially with
someone,
Arden
if
saying,
you would
"I'm
have
gonna
said
beat
like
you the whole
6
time."
months ago, this to me, like, work on you and like make sure that you're working on your relationship with God and becoming the man He's called you to be, I would have been like, that's nice. I still need a wife. You know what I mean? And so, yeah.
But I just want to emphasize this to you, because I just care so much about young people. But don't look for the perfect person, but you allow God to make you
Perfect things in you. Yeah.
a perfect person for the person you're going to marry. Now, you'll never be perfect, but in other words, allow God to mature you and be comfortable in your relationship with God where He's fully satisfying to you. If that's the case and you marry someone else that their relationship with God is completely, fully satisfying them, it just makes the marriage amazing. And so the day that I stopped looking to Lisa to fulfill voids that I felt that I had was the day that Lisa and I's relationship went to a whole nother level. You can say something. Austin's shaking his head violently.
Absolutely agree. Like, if I go to Jess for something, or if I'm expecting Jess to do something for me, or I will be frustrated. And you probably experience that frustration as well. Like, why isn't this being... But if I go to God and I say, God, I'm going to allow you to supply this, it's like night and day difference with the way I even look at, like the way I even, my attitude towards Jess completely shifts, because it's not like you're withholding something from me. It's like, I have what I need. Let me serve you. And so it's a night and day difference, and it's subtle, but you have to make that switch of, I'm not going to rely on my spouse for this. I'm going to go to God, and then together we're going to be better.
You know, I've said this many times. You've probably heard me say this, but I believe when you marry someone, you sign up to serve them the rest of your life. If you have that attitude, you're going to have a very beautiful marriage.
Yeah, it's something I'm finding out a lot in this first, because I'm in just my first couple months of marriage, and just finding out, just making sure, like, as I entered in, of realizing when you enter into marriage, you realize how selfish you actually are, because you start seeing all the little things that the other person is doing for you, and all the things that you're like, no, I just want to do this. Like, this is me. Like, I just want this time, or I want this. But like, you start realizing, wait, it's no longer just me. It's me and another person. And so
They're in your space.
Yeah, it's like, and it's not not just someone that I can be like, hey, you're a close buddy and I can go to bed in my own room and you're just a roommate. It's someone who I want the intimacy. I want to work on that. And I don't want to get to a place where I'm never not working on that. And so even in this first month of marriage, just looking for opportunities to serve. Like I'll get mad, jokingly mad at Christian if she gets up as we're watching a show and starts cleaning, because she loves cleaning, and I'm like,
thank you,
no,
Jesus.
but I'm like, that's great, but I'm like, you've been cleaning all day. I want you to relax. I'll go clean that. Like, I want to serve you and make sure.
She put an Instagram story of you vacuuming.
That was one of the times. She started
Christian,
vacuuming.
You got him to vacuum.
I took it away.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you say I'll take away the vacuum, but you have to film this?
Yes, there needs to be proof on social media.
Make me look amazing.
I want to, because this is a really important place to say this. Some of the most miserable Christians that I've run into are Christians that really were expecting the void in their life to be filled, and then when they got married and they found out that wasn't true, wow, it's like falling off a cliff almost. And I just want to warn you, because we don't want you to think, okay, when I'm finally married, it's going to be amazing. Listen, when you're finally married, you get to serve more. Just look at it like
but
that.
It is
okay?
good. Don't think. Like, it just
Lisa,
sounds like
I would
everybody's
much rather
like
be married than
grumped out.
single.
Yes.
And let's make that very
if
clear.
you're just married, like, I hope this
It's a
is an
new
encouragement
season.
of, if you're having these thoughts of, oh man, like, did I do something wrong, or is this not working? Just like, if you go into that attitude of, I'm going to serve this person, you'll be way more fulfilled than, like, so much more emphasis, like you said, is put on finding the right person. If you have that mindset of, did I actually marry the right person? No, that shouldn't be the mindset. The mindset should be, I'm going to get everything I need from God, and I'm going to serve
Be
this
the
person.
right person. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like, you're done with that mindset of like, oh, is this
Yeah.
the right person?
Yeah.
for me?
Yeah.
It's like, no,
There's a
this is
covenant.
the person that you entered into a covenant. And so you've got to start working. You've got to start doing the things on your end, not trying to change the person, but doing the things on your end to develop and grow that relationship. I think one of my favorite things that Christian and I have talked about thus far is we've just talked about, like, we were maybe a couple weeks in our marriage, and we were just getting frustrated by different things, and we just looked at each other and we're like, what, the Bible says to have joy in all things. Like, we just need to have joy, and like, throughout everything in our marriage, like, this is a fun time. Let's just have joy. And it completely changed the environment, I felt like, in our house, where we just, everything that we did, we're like, okay, look, if we're battling this, we're just gonna have joy. We're gonna have fun. We're gonna look at it as an adventure and experience together.
That's a great attitude.
Mm-hmm.
I love that attitude. But can I ask something, kind of get off track here a little bit? I mean, I really want to talk to the people that are actually in the dating time. I think there's some really important things
Yeah,
that we need
I'd
to
love
talk
to hear
about
what
in
the
regard
boys.
to dating.
So, was it good to date or bad to date? I want both you guys to weigh in on that. Arden, you start first. Was it good to date or bad to date? What do you think?
Yeah.
Since I kissed dating goodbye for you guys, and then,
I still didn't get my
then
card.
you said hello
It's just
to
weird. So I think dating is good, but I think dating done the right way is like, so
Yeah, I
dating
do
done
too.
wrong is really detrimental, but dating done the correct way is really good, because I got to a place where I just started dating, and every time I would go on a date, I would do this big, like, grand thing, and I would always make sure, like, I would take the girl, really treat her well, and she would get super attached super fast, and I would always have a conversation afterwards with her, just being like, hey, this wasn't right, like, just didn't feel it. And I realized, I just started realizing, like, okay, I'm making this into too big of a thing, because I made it this whole, like, I would be scared to go on dates because I would do so much, and this girl needed to be the one. If I'm doing all these things, like, I needed to put the pressure on myself for her to be the one. And then I started realizing, like, I need to treat dating in the beginning stages, so when you are testing out the waters, trying to find the correct one, the girl that you see, hey, there could be a potential future. I started keep treating it more casual of just, hey, would you want to go get a coffee? And just sitting down and having a coffee and talking. Yeah, and just talking with a person and just going on little dates like that.
And one of your instructors at Hillsong was really instrumental in sharing that with you.
She told me that.
And can I ask you guys something? My executive assistant just got engaged, but I really like the approach that her fiance did. He on purpose made sure he didn't make one romantic gesture or anything at all until he figured out that they were compatible and that he cared about her deeply as a friend. How do you guys feel about that? I mean, that's pretty extreme.
There's nothing wrong with that. You don't realize this so much when you're dating, but you have your whole if this person's the person you're gonna marry, you have your whole life to be physical with them
and romantic.
And so if they're not, there's someone else's spouse. And so
whoa, you just made a big statement there. I want to make sure everybody understood what Austin just said.
If they're not yours, they're someone else's. And so for your sake, and like even think of your future spouse, like you wouldn't want a guy or a girl like doing that with your future. Yeah, and so I think that's very honorable of him, and I think that's great. Now that is definitely more extreme than most people would go to, and I don't know if that's like as far as you need to go, but I think that's awesome. I think it's, if anything, it's just honorable, and there's nothing wrong with being honorable.
You know, I was very, very fortunate. Lisa is my very, very best friend. Okay, and I would marry Lisa in a heartbeat today after 37 years, even though you don't golf. Yeah. But the thing is, I got very blessed in the sense of I didn't know that, because looks change, weight changes. There's a lot of things that change as far as physical goes. But when that person is your very closest friend, that makes life so adventurous. And I just can't emphasize that once you really start looking at that person because, oh my gosh, she's gorgeous, that's going to change one day. But the question is, how close are you in friendship? Because that lasts a lifetime. What do you guys think about that, huh?
Yeah, I think I completely agree with that. And I think there's a lot of emphasis before marriage to find your best friend. But I know that even in the months that Jess and I have dated, we become much better friends.
Yeah.
When I went into my relationship with Jess, she's amazing looking. Mm-hmm. And I really I love her values. She fears God. She loves people. And so that was like the more logical side of things.
She celebrated you, was respectful.
Yeah. And I was like, this is a girl that I would really trust. And I know would love me really well. And so that was, and I had to, in my mind, think the friendship side will build over time, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. And so I would encourage people, even if they're like, I don't know if we're good enough friends or stuff like that. It does help, of course, to be friends before, but like I would say values is my number one thing. When
Christian and I, as we said, we dated for 3 months before we got engaged. And what I looked at was her values. Mm-hmm. And I saw she was hardworking and she was godly. Yeah. And I knew that no matter what, we went through, and she was funny. She's quirky. She's got a funny side of her.
Yeah.
But no matter what, that she would work on everything that we went through our marriage. And so I just looked at those values.
Can I actually say how proud I am of you two as a father? Because to be honest with you, if I really look in deep, that was what really drew me to Lisa. And I actually didn't know enough to say that until you guys said it. I was going for the friendship thing, but you can be friends with somebody that doesn't have the same values as you. Mm-hmm. So thank you for your maturity on that.
Well, guys, that's all the time we have for today. I hope you enjoyed our chat, and be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the second part of our conversation about dating and marriage. We just launched our show, so to help us out, please write a review or rate our show so we can reach as many people as possible. We would love to hear from you. So if you have any ideas for topics, questions for the team, or just want to give us your feedback, please post a comment on iTunes. Until next time.
Do you want to go deeper into what it means to rise above? Then we want to invite you to the Rise event. This is an intimate gathering of young leaders in Colorado Springs, Colorado, happening June 19th through the 21st. Our goal is to create a space for connection, dreaming, and impartation, positioning our guests to step into the higher way of being that's theirs as sons and daughters of God. For more details about this event and how to register, you can visit sonsanddaughters.tv/rise event. We hope to see you there.